He was a father and husband, meant to protect and cherish his family. But on one fateful day, he became the very person who ended their lives. What would drive a family man to commit such an unspeakable act? Was it an inner demon whispering constantly, pushing him toward a tragic end? On March 10th, 2024, the serene neighborhood of Manoa in Honolulu was shattered by a crime so heinous it left an entire community in shock. 46-year-old Paris Oda, a chiropractor and seemingly devoted family man, murdered his wife Naoko, their 3 children, Sakurako, Oreo, and Nana, before taking his own life. The once peaceful Oda family was wiped out in one night, a tragedy that would later be known as one of the deadliest family murders in Honolulu's recent history. This story is a chilling reminder that sometimes those closest to us may hide the darkest secrets. The Oda family appeared picture-perfect on social media, but behind the scenes, Paris was grappling with unimaginable pressures. Financial burdens, personal failures, and a sense of helplessness had built up over the years, pushing him to his breaking point. Let's dive into this tragedy and uncover the series of events that led Paris Oda from a caring father to a man capable of such devastation. It was 8:34 a.m. when the Honolulu Police Department received a call about a disturbance at the Oda household. Neighbors reported hearing terrifying screams in the early morning hours. Officers rushed to the house on Waloa Place but were met with eerie silence. No one answered the door, and no sounds of distress came from within. A search of the property yielded nothing unusual, so the police left, assuming the call was a false alarm. But just 15 minutes later, the situation escalated. The same caller, a woman who rented a room in the Oda home, contacted the police again. This time, she was outside the house, visibly shaken. She recounted hearing blood-curdling screams around 2:30 in the morning. Too terrified to leave her room, she locked herself in, and through the gap under her door, she saw blood pooling on the floor. The horrifying sight had paralyzed her with fear, but once the screams stopped, she escaped through a window and ran for help. The police returned to the Oda residence, this time prepared for the worst. When they entered through the back door, they were met with a grisly scene. Paris Oda's lifeless body lay in the hallway, his wounds indicating he had taken his own life after slaughtering his family.
They were able to see an unresponsive person through the window. They called out to the person but received no answer. Officers entered through the back door and found the unresponsive male laying in blood in the hallway. He had stab wounds to the chest and was deceased. He was later identified as the suspect, 46-year-old Paris Oda.
In the bedrooms, they found Naoko and the children, their hands showing defensive wounds, a clear sign they had fought for their lives. What could push a man to commit such a heinous act? As the police dug deeper into Paris Oda's life, they uncovered the grim truth behind the facade of a normal, happy family. Paris Oda was a chiropractor, operating a clinic near the bustling Ala Moana Center. From the outside, it seemed like a stable, respectable career, but in reality, Paris had been drowning in financial struggles for years. By early 2023, he was far behind on his mortgage, car payments, and other debts. The weight of these burdens was unbearable, and he had concealed much of it from even his closest friends and family. It was in February 2024 that Paris confided in his wife about a devastating secret. He hadn't paid taxes in years. Fear of going to prison for tax evasion consumed him. He reportedly told family members that he'd rather die than face the consequences. As his financial situation worsened, Paris became increasingly withdrawn. His once calm demeanor turned dark, and his desperation spiraled out of control. In a text message to Naoko, he hinted at a terrible plan. "We need to do it," he wrote, alluding to a decision they had discussed before, a plan to end their lives together, along with their children. Paris believed no one else could care for his family better than he could, and if he couldn't provide for them, no one should. Naoko, trying to stay positive, suggested moving to Japan to start fresh, closer to her parents. But for Paris, it was too late. The mounting pressure had already clouded his judgment. The looming tax season, his crumbling business, and the weight of shame led him down a dark and irreversible path. In early March, Paris made one last, chilling move. He He tried to buy a gun. Whether he planned to use it in the crime is unclear, but he never followed through with the purchase. Still, the intent was there, and it was a terrifying indication of where his mind had gone. On that fateful morning of March 10th, Paris Oda carried out his deadly plan. With a kitchen knife in hand, he murdered his wife and children one by one. Despite their cries, their terror, and their desperate attempts to fight back, he was unstoppable. After killing his family, Paris turned the knife on himself, completing the tragic end of the Oda family. As the investigation unfolded, more details about Paris's life came to light. He had grown up on the island of Kauai, and by all accounts, had a normal, happy childhood. But financial strain had weighed heavily on him, and by 2024, he was driving for Uber just to make ends meet. His chiropractic business had faltered, and selling a second property in Aiea hadn't provided the relief he had hoped for. Despite all of this, Paris had never been violent before. Friends and neighbors described him as a quiet, peaceful man. His mother, Annette Oda, was interviewed after the tragedy. She struggled to comprehend what her son had done, as there were no obvious warning signs that he would snap so suddenly. As the police pieced together the timeline, they found Paris's final text messages, which revealed the depth of his despair. He believed that if he and Naoko were gone, their children would be left helpless. In his mind, he was doing them a twisted kind of favor, sparing them from the shame and suffering he believed was inevitable. But the reality is far different. Paris's actions destroyed not only his family, but also the sense of security in their quiet community. The Oda family was loved and respected by many, and their sudden, violent deaths left a void that can never be filled. The tragic end of the Oda family serves as a haunting reminder that we may never fully understand the struggles someone is facing behind closed doors. Paris Oda's descent into darkness was gradual, but by the time anyone noticed, it was too late. Mental health, financial pressures, and the inability to seek help can lead to unimaginable consequences. This story highlights the importance of checking in on those we love, even when everything seems fine on the surface. If only someone had been able to intervene before Paris made his tragic decision, perhaps the Oda family would still be here today. As we remember Naoko, Sakurako, Oreo, and Nana, let's take a moment to reflect on the fragility of life and the silent battles that so many people face. Sometimes, the most dangerous storms are the ones we don't see coming.